Buenos dias, mis amigas. It is Friday, and I have a rest day here in Baiona, Spain. And initially, when I scheduled my trip, I was not supposed to have a rest day in Baiona. I was actually supposed to be in a different town for last night and then walking to Baiona today. But long story short, I ended up not keeping that reservation, and I changed my Baiona reservation to this place for 2 nights instead of 1 night. And I love how everything just lined up. There are so many things that went into that last night's reservation not working. Part of it was the way they were, I'm going to use the word hounding because that's what it felt like. The way it felt like they were hounding me to make plans to use their spa. And if you have seen some of my other videos, you might recall me saying that I don't have a swimsuit, and I was feeling so much pressure to use the spa, and I don't have a swimsuit. So then I reached out and I said, you know what? I don't even have a swimsuit right now. I'm not going to worry about the spa. And they said, instead of like taking my 3 no's, no thank yous, for an answer, they came back and said, well, you can buy one here, no problem. Like, I'm not going to buy a swimsuit at a hotel. Like, it just, my brain was not wrapping around all of this. And so I felt uncomfortable. I felt hounded. And when that happens, I just felt like I needed to change this reservation. And I shared in a previous video that I had another reservation that I needed to change because it felt off. And I think I had one more that got canceled, and I had to pick a different place, which is fascinating. All of the places that were not prepaid, something came up for me to change them. Isn't that interesting? For whatever reason, whether they didn't ask me to prepay or I chose the option, many of them in booking will give you the option to pay later. For whatever reason, I think there were 3 or 4 that were not paid ahead of time, and all of them got moved. Isn't that fascinating? I love that. So as soon as I realized that I was feeling this way, I knew I needed to change my reservation. And the place that I was going to stay tonight was also one of the ones that was not paid in advance. And so how perfect that those 2 nights in a row were not paid. It made for a little bit longer walking yesterday. So my idea was 2 shorter days in walking, just because of the time that I am taking and that I have to give to this journey. So instead it made for a little bit of a longer day of walking yesterday, but then I have 2 nights here, including today as a rest day. And you know what's even better is it's raining today. Would I have walked in the rain? Of course. If that's the schedule, then you make it work, right? You walk in the rain. But tomorrow it's supposed to be clear, not necessarily sunny, but it's supposed to be cleared up, no rain. And today it's rainy all day. So I did get out for a bit. I went out and walked around. I had some delicious breakfast, a great coffee. I walked through some of the town square and found a couple of the cathedrals. And later I decided to come back in and dry off a little bit. And then later I'm going to head back out because there's a fortress in the port area right where I'm staying. So out the window, you can see all of the boats, and there's even a replica of the Nina, the Pinta, the Nina, the Santa Maria. So there's even a replica, I believe it's of the Nina, and I might check that out. And then next to that, there's a fortress and a castle. So I think I'm going to go explore those later in the rain because you know what? We're not going to let the weather stop us. So it's a good day, and I love how everything it really is lining up. And I know plenty of pilgrims that are walking today, whether they're walking from here to the next destination or they're on their way here today. So there are plenty of people, and I've seen a number of them out and about, plenty of people that are walking. And had that been my schedule, I would have been walking too. And also the perfection and the divinity of it is not lost on me. And it's not lost on me how the ones that were not paid have now turned into, something even better. So what's great, I have a rest day today. Tomorrow I walk approximately 13 miles, and then I have a rest day the next day. So that will be in Vigo. And Vigo is my last, from my understanding, my last big city before I get to Santiago. And then it's just a handful more days before I'm in Santiago, which is crazy. So we're closing in on arriving. And as I think about that and lean into everything we've been through and all of the steps taken and how far I've come, and if you look at the map, even just from Lisbon, Portugal to Baiona, Spain, like looking at that map and how much land I have crossed is a little bit mind-blowing to me. Even given the one day that I did not walk, and those 20 miles, like the 20 miles out of over 450 miles, at first I was really feeling torn about that and what that meant and what that looked like. And now I look at it and I'm like, you know what? That's okay. That's okay. It got to be part of the journey, and it gave me a chance to embrace and accept myself in a different way, which I'm sure is necessary. And now, like, even, I mentioned the other day when I crossed into Spain and how emotional that made me, like wrapping up Portugal and coming through all of that and really doing the best I can to embrace presence and really be in the moment, because it is going to be over before I know it. And then I'm going to be back home and kind of I'm starting to navigate and notice this feeling of all of the things that are waiting for me back home and all of the things that will need to be taken care of when I get back home and what all of that looks like. And so navigating this dance of being really present here while also understanding that there is a life, a work, a business, managing director. There are roles back home that are on pause and are waiting for me. And so, like, starting to lean into thinking about that, but not fully. And so really exploring kind of that whole dance, while also just the space that I'm in right now is so rich with history. And I mean, the buildings alone are older than the States. And that's just fascinating to me. So really doing the best I can to be in the space, be in where I am right now, because before I know it, it's going to be done, which is amazing. Anyway, that's what I have. Yesterday I was going to come on live and share a real talk video about hiking, kind of inspired from the previous conversation and some of the negative comments that I had received. And I shared in my post that it's probably perfect how each time I tried, it cut me off. And each time it cut me off, I met a different pilgrim and had a chance to visit with someone else. And so is that a diversion? Is it is it divine guidance saying it's not necessary? We don't need to have that conversation. Let's just lean into these present conversations. Let's lean into this energy right here. So maybe we'll see. I'm not feeling called to have that conversation right now. But maybe tomorrow when I'm hiking again, we can have a real talk conversation. And I'm not afraid to have real talk conversations. I think those are really important. And I'm not afraid to be vulnerable. I'm not afraid to, kind of pull back the curtain on what's going on. So I'm open to your questions and your curiosities and all of those things. And I'm not opposed to curious comments, like genuinely curious comments. The ones that I'm opposed to are when we are being downright rude and downright mean to someone. I just think that's unnecessary for someone to reach out and say, for example, I don't think you have any right to be on video looking the way you look. That's not okay. Doesn't matter. It's not okay. I know my hair is not fixed, and when you're hiking every day, this is what you get, right? Like, I have not conditioned my hair in weeks because the places I'm going don't have conditioner, and that's the way it goes because I'm not willing to carry conditioner. And I haven't dyed my hair, and that's okay because who I am as a person doesn't change. When my hair changes, when I get back home, I'm going to the salon and I'm going to get a haircut and I'm going to, fix things. And I'm probably going to get, well, we'll see if I get a pedicure right away or not. I may not show my toes to anyone for a little bit, but I'm going to take care of those things. And that doesn't change who I am, right? It might change the appearance. My skin is really dry here. It's very dry. And so my skin is really dry. So some of those things might change, but the core message and the core human behind all of it doesn't change. And if someone can't embrace us in our rawness and me showing up to you this way, like if you can't embrace me this way, then you don't get the best of me. You don't get me when my hair is all done and when I am, dressed to the nines and going to a ball. You don't get me that way then. That's the way it goes. So I have no problem. And I think here's the blessing in this. What I realized is I had been shape-shifting myself in order to fit other people. And there's a time and a place that I want to do that for me. And also there's a time and a place, like walking 450 plus miles, whatever it ends up being, where I'm not concerned about my hair. I'm not concerned if I'm putting makeup on every day. I'm not concerned with my skin because I'm not carrying the lotion that I would use back home. So if I'm okay with it, if I'm okay showing up this way, and if you can't embrace you, the general you, not you, the watcher, because you are amazing, I'm sure. But if you, the general you, cannot embrace this part of me, then why would I want to give you the best of me? That's not okay. And that is something that I think is going to be one of the lessons and the blessings that I am embracing. The lesson in that it's okay to put up that boundary and say, look, this is also me. Gala Jen is me, and the Jen that loves to get all dressed up and dolled up and, or all dressed up and get on a stage and speak and present. And also, this is Jen 2. And it's the same Jen, just, what does she have access to in order to, come together in a different way. So that is a beautiful lesson. And the blessing in all of that is that it allows me to embrace myself more. Whether or not you embrace me more isn't the goal or because I don't have control over how you feel about me. I have no control over that. What I do have control over is how I feel about myself, and can I embrace myself even more? That's not what we were going to talk about yesterday, but I feel like that was a perfect kind of come together on where all of that is washing out for me. And it feels really good. So I'm going to let you go for now. Let me know if you have any questions, things you want to understand or learn more about, or, do you have questions about the Camino? Do you have questions about what life is like each day? Do you have questions about the lessons? I'm leaning into the book, so that's exciting. Do you have questions about whatever it is? Let me know. I'm an open book and happy to share. Take care. Adios.